think you know yourself? Think again. Beneath the polished facade of your conscious identity lurks a shadow, a hidden self you've spent a lifetime denying, suppressing, or outright ignoring. This is the part of you that doesn't play by the rules, the part that doesn't care about morality, societal approval, or even your own carefully constructed self-image. Carl Jung called it the shadow, and he warned that until you confront it, it will control you from the depths of your unconscious. But here's the brutal truth. Most people are too afraid to even glance in its direction. They'd rather cling to the comforting illusion of their own righteousness than face the uncomfortable reality that they, too, are capable of darkness. Why? Because admitting that means surrendering the delusion of control. It means acknowledging that you're not the hero of your story. You're something far more complex, far more dangerous. So ask yourself, what are you hiding from? What parts of yourself have you exiled to the shadows, only to have them resurface in moments of anger, envy, or desire? The first step to power is not self-improvement, it's self-awareness. And that begins with staring into the abyss of your own soul. Society tells you to be good, to be kind, to suppress your aggression, your greed, your primal instincts. But what if this suppression is the very thing keeping you weak? The shadow isn't just your dark side. It's your untapped power, the raw, unfiltered energy you've been taught to fear. Think about it. Every time you've bitten your tongue instead of speaking your mind, every time you've swallowed your ambition to avoid seeming selfish, every time you've denied your desires to fit in, you've handed a piece of your power over to others. The shadow doesn't play by these rules. It doesn't apologize for existing. And here's the paradox. The more you try to bury it, the more it controls you. Repressed anger turns into passive aggression. Denied ambition festers as resentment. Ignored desires erupt as self-sabotage. You think you're in control? Look at the patterns of your life. The recurring conflicts, the unexplained impulses, the things you do despite knowing better. That's not you making choices. That's your shadow pulling the strings. The question isn't whether you have a dark side. It's whether you'll continue to let it rule you from the shadows or drag it into the light and finally wield it with intention. Let's shatter another illusion. Morality is a construct, a flimsy shield we use to justify our actions and condemn others. But your shadow doesn't care about good and evil. It cares about survival, dominance, and desire. History's most influential figures, leaders, artists, conquerors, weren't constrained by morality. They understood the game. They knew that power doesn't belong to those who follow the rules, but to those who rewrite them. Why do you think the nice guy finishes last? Because he's too busy obeying external judgments to listen to his own instincts. Meanwhile, the ones who rise to the top aren't the purest. They're the ones who've made peace with their darkness. They don't waste energy pretending to be saints. They channel their aggression into ambition, their ruthlessness into strategy, their desires into unstoppable drive. This isn't about becoming a villain. It's about recognizing that the line between hero and monster is thinner than you've been led to believe. The shadow isn't your enemy. It's your untapped potential. The real question is, are you brave enough to embrace it? You've been taught that vulnerability is strength, that openness is virtue. But what if that's just another way to keep you docile? The shadow thrives in secrecy, in the unspoken truths you're too afraid to acknowledge. Consider this, the people who wield real influence aren't the ones spilling their insecurities to the world. They're the ones who know what to reveal and what to conceal. They understand the power of mystery, the allure of the unknown. Your shadow holds your deepest fears, yes, but also your most potent weapons. When you wear your heart on your sleeve, you give others the map to manipulate you. When you confess every weakness, you disarm yourself. The shadow teaches you the art of strategic silence, the power of restraint. It's not about being dishonest. It's about recognizing that not every truth needs to be spoken. Not every card needs to be shown. The world doesn't reward transparency. It rewards those who master the game. So ask yourself, how much of your power have you already given away in the name of authenticity? Here's a hard truth. Your shadow is the source of your creativity, your magnetism, your edge. Every great artist, every revolutionary thinker, every charismatic leader has danced with their darkness. Van Gogh's torment fueled his art. Nietzsche's descent into madness birthed his greatest philosophy. Steve Jobs' ruthless perfectionism built an empire. You think brilliance comes from light alone? No, it's the tension between light and dark that sparks genius. Your shadow isn't something to transcend. It's something to harness. The parts of yourself you've disowned, the anger, the lust, the ego, are the very forces that could propel you forward if you'd stop fearing them. The masses stay mediocre because they're too busy sanitizing their souls to tap into their raw, unfiltered potential. But you have a choice. Will you continue to suppress what makes you dangerous, or will you finally unleash it? Let's talk about projection, the psychological sleight of hand where you deny your own darkness by attributing it to others. That coworker you call manipulative? That ex you label toxic? That politician you despise? They're mirrors. Every trait you condemn in others is a trait you refuse to face in yourself. This is the shadow's greatest trick. It convinces you that the enemy is out there, when the real battle is within. Hate in others what you fear in yourself. That's the unspoken law of human nature. But here's the twist. Once you stop projecting, you reclaim immense power. When you admit, yes, I too am capable of deceit, of cruelty, of selfishness, you disarm the world's ability to shock or control you. You stop being a pawn of your own unconscious and start seeing reality with cold, clear eyes. The question is, how long will you keep pointing fingers instead of confronting what's staring back at you in the mirror? The shadow doesn't respond to reason or morality. It speaks the language of symbols, dreams, and primal urges. That's why your attempts to think positive or stay disciplined keep failing. You're trying to reason with a force that operates on instinct. Ever notice how your best laid plans crumble the moment emotions take over? That's your shadow asserting itself. It doesn't care about your goals. It cares about your survival, your desires, your unresolved traumas. Until you speak its language, through ritual, through confrontation, through integration, you'll keep losing the inner war. The ancients knew this. Myths and religions are filled with stories of heroes facing their darker halves. Modernity, with its obsession with logic and positivity, has made you forget this truth. But the shadow hasn't forgotten you. It's the voice in your darkest moments, the impulse you can't explain, the face in your nightmares. Ignore it at your peril. Integration is the key, not eradication. The goal isn't to destroy your shadow, but to ally with it. Think of it as a wild animal. Left unchecked, it's dangerous. But trained, it's a formidable weapon. Your aggression, channeled, becomes assertiveness. Your ego, tempered, becomes self-respect. Your desires, directed, become ambition. The shadow isn't the enemy of your higher self. It's the missing piece. The people who truly terrify you, the ones who seem to operate on a different level, aren't devoid of darkness. They've simply stopped fighting it. They've embraced the full spectrum of their nature, and in doing so, they've become unstoppable. The choice is yours. Keep fragmenting yourself into acceptable and unacceptable parts, or finally become whole. This isn't theoretical, it's practical. Every day you make choices that either feed your shadow or starve it. When you suppress your anger instead of setting boundaries, you feed it. When you deny your ambition to avoid judgment, you feed it. When you numb your desires with distractions, you feed it. And a hungry shadow always retaliates, through self-sabotage, through outbursts, through a life that feels smaller than it should. But when you acknowledge it, when you give it a controlled outlet, it transforms. It becomes the fire that drives you, the edge that sets you apart. The difference between a monster and a master isn't the darkness they possess. It's the awareness with which they wield it. So where do you go from here? The path isn't easy. It requires brutal honesty, uncomfortable confrontations, and the courage to face what you've spent a lifetime running from. But on the other side of that fear lies something extraordinary. Freedom. Not the sanitized, socially approved version of freedom, but the real thing, the freedom of full ownership. No more hiding, no more projecting, no more fragmentation. Just you in your entirety, capable of both creation and destruction. That's power. That's authenticity. And it's waiting for you on the other side of the shadow. The only question left is, are you ready to step into the dark?